Good afternoon, and welcome to this special service of First Unitarian Church of Honolulu. I'm Reverend TJ Fitzgerald, the minister here. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And like many of you, my heart is breaking alongside so many other members of our human family on this day, and on many of the days we have all lived together in these past weeks. We realize that there is an event at Ala Moana gathering at this moment. Our decision to hold this service came at a time when plans for this weekend's events were still taking shape. My understanding is that even after this service, if you wish to take part in today's events, you may. They'll be going on until 3 or 5 o'clock at least. And tomorrow, I know a group of folks who attend this church will be taking part in events as well. There's plenty of information about that on our church Facebook page. If you have any other questions, you can send me an email or be in touch in other ways. Though it's not a church-sponsored event, many of those called here to be members feel called there to be present, which is a beautiful and wonderful thing. But for today now, this is a time of reflection, a space of prayer, a period of renewal for all of the work that we have ahead of us in the coming weeks and months and years. We hope that between the offerings of readings, prayers, and music, you will find a space for what it is that you need at this time. If it is a pause, let it be a pause. If it is strength, let it be strength. If it is sorry, to let it be sorry. If it is courage, to let it be courage. Whatever it may be, let it be so. Please join me now as we light the chalice together. For some, it is a flicker. For some, it is a raging fire. For some, it burns. For some, it lights the way home. Wherever you are, whoever you are, however you are, we light this flame for you. May it hold you now in this time together as we hold you in our hearts and breathe. We open with this prayer shared nationally by many of our churches this week. George Floyd, we speak your name in remembrance of your life and in honor of every Black man who has been harassed and murdered by police. Tony McDade, we speak your name in remembrance of your life and in honor of every Black trans person who has been killed by the police and misgendered in their death. Breonna Taylor, we speak your name in remembrance of your life and in honor of every Black woman who is killed by police with little to no media attention. We remember and honor every Black person of all ages, nationalities, genders, sexual orientations, religions, and abilities, who has been killed by the police. We acknowledge together the unthinkable grief, terror, and rage these police killings cause in the Black community. The recurring trauma of violent death caused by the police is a burden that no person or community should have to carry. We are thinking of and praying for Black people, and we ready ourselves now to put our thoughts and prayers into action. Let us turn our minds now to the ways for so many faiths, breath comes before all. We acknowledge this land that we are settlers upon. And we pray together that we hold it well and in trust, and we hold it in ways that honor all those ancestors who were here before us. We are drawn to the faith of this land. We hold up the ways the Hawaiian faith and language uses the word ha, breath of life. to form the beginning, the very first breath of the very name, Havaitin. And we hold to those for whom no particular religious belief guides them, for breath is central to life for all. It is universal. If you breathe free today, you are blessed. So consider with us today what it would take for us, for each one of us, each member of the human family, yearning to breathe free, to finally breathe free. And now we invite Beth Byers to offer an opening musical meditation. Beth, I'm going to pause you because for some reason the sound is not coming through. Is there something disconnected?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's fixed. So now we welcome Beth to offer this musical meditation. Thank you, Beth. That was beautiful. And now a reading by Audre Lorde, one of the great mothers of literature in the past century. It's entitled A Litany for Survival. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone. For those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who love in doorways coming and going, in the hours between dawns, looking inward and outward, at once before and after, seeking a now that can read futures. Like bread in our children's mouths, so their dreams will not reflect the death of ours. For those of us who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk, for by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hope to silence us, for all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. And when the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. When our stomachs are full, we are afraid of indigestion. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid we may never eat again. When we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. Now we invite Leslie Horn to offer the musical meditation on breathing.
Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
Thank you so much, Leslie. That was beautiful. Now is the time when we will hold a space and meditation. Please look to the murmurings of your own heart. For those who wish, you may offer thoughts or prayers in the chat box, for meditation is different for everyone. Of course, you may also stay silent, and I will bring us back together with the bell when it is time. We will stay silent longer than usual than we do in worship, to allow people to deepen into what they're feeling. So now I invite you, if possible, to get comfortable where you are, perhaps uncross your legs, put your hands at your sides or on your lap. And begin perhaps by watching the breath as it flows in and out. Perhaps taking Leslie's beautiful suggestion of breathing in peace, breathing out love. So we enter this time now of silence and memory, and I will bring us back together very soon. I draw us now out of this time of meditation to hear the words of the great mother, Maya Angelou, "Still I rise." You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom, because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want me to be broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, because I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. And now we will invite Carol Amos to offer a charge to us all for our spirits, for our actions, and for the days ahead. If you can unmute yourself, Carol.
Good afternoon. And it is my honor and also my duty to give each of us a charge for today. I'd like to first talk about the origin of policing. It dates back hundreds of years. When the slave master would have runaway slaves, they would employ a bounty hunter or slave catcher or slave patrols to bring the runaways back. To this day, policing really hasn't changed very much, has it? You might ask, what is the reward for policemen and police women shooting or strangling or killing African-American men and women? Is it that they get a notch on their belt if they kill one more African-American? Do they get some kind of medal of honor if they kill one more Black or African-American man or woman or child? What is the reward? In less than 3 months, starting with Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, February the 28th, 2020. He was killed by 2 white men for no real apparent reason. Breonna Taylor, March the 13th, 2020. She was at home, and there is, in Louisville, Kentucky, there is a no-knock warrant that prevails. And she was killed. She was an EMT. She was doing what she needed to do to save lives, and her life was taken. Then George Floyd. And most of you have seen either all of the video that went viral all over the world, or you've seen parts of it. I could not see the whole thing. It was too graphic. And that was May the 25th. And then add injury to insult was Amy Cooper, the very next day in Central Park, not having her dog on a leash. And Chris Cooper asked her to put her dog back on the leash, and she got upset with that and called the police. And she knew exactly what to say that could have caused him to lose his life. And then add to that, we have the pandemic. What else are we to deal with as African Americans? Not only in this country, but every country. People are tired of being tired. They've been locked down or locked in or locked out for several months. And with no real sense of satisfaction. So finally, the officer that put his knee in George's neck and was videoed, was there something done? And I've been told by some people that they understand why there's protests, but they don't understand why there is looting. And many of the looters are not really from the states that they're looting in. I talked with my grandson the other day, and he said, "Grandma, some man handed me a brick." And he was an African American. And what this does, it takes the attention off of what the real problems are. People are coming from out of state on buses, bus loads, bringing them to certain areas to loot. So if you have all of your attention on the looters, you have no attention on what the real cause of the protest is all about. So what really does matter? Justice matters. Police brutality matters. Equal housing matters. Equal health care matters. Equal financial opportunity matters. Equal employment matters. Equal protection of justice, the justice system matters. Equal job security matters. Equal protection from police brutality matters. Equal rights to vote matters. No voter suppression matters. No redlining matters. No judging people by the color of their skin matters. Black lives matter. And I know that some of you say, well, all lives matter. However, it is known by most people that Black lives are at the bottom of the totem pole. So if Black lives matter, then everyone else supposedly above Black lives, their lives also matter. So that would be all lives matter. Racism runs deep. It's generational racism. I had a woman come to me at church one Sunday, and I had never seen this woman before. And she said to me, "Did you know that Hawaiians don't particularly like African Americans?" And I just looked at her and I said, "It's the colonization that you have gone through that created that. You're subjected to that in your mind because of what you don't know about African Americans." The method that the occupant in the White House has used is divide and conquer, pitting one race against the other, one gender against the other, one educated person against the other that's not educated, one dark against light, one old against young. If that does not sound like the Willie Lynch ladder, I don't know what it does. There is such a correlation in the way that the occupant of the White House is operating this country is very much like the Willie Lynch ladder. I used to think that I didn't need to tell white people what is needed to enhance the work of equality. But I have come to know that it is very, very important that we educate white people and train them, if necessary, on what it is that they need to do to enhance the possibility of equality and living up to justice and equality for all. So locally, we can encourage the legislation to do whatever it is that we want to in terms of justice for all. We can get out and vote. We can demilitarize the police system. Vote out those local officials and the ones that are national that are not doing the work, that are not providing equality for every single person. And when you vote for the prosecutor, make sure that that person has a record that they are fair and equitable, regardless of race, creed, or color. And nationally, because all of this has happened on the neck of George Floyd, we can support anti-racism efforts. We can get involved with bail projects. We can vote on Campaign Zero, which reduces all police violence to zero. And we can call our policies maker at every level of the government. That's what we can do on the national level as well as the local level. We can ask the police not to use force, employing all policemen and women to have body cameras on them at all times, requiring police officers to undergo training every quarter. So every 3 months they're being trained on anti-racism philosophies and getting them ready to be able to go out and deal with the world at large and not just a specific area in the population. We should know our rights. We can write letters to the mayor and to the governor in Minnesota demanding justice. We can sign petitions. There is a petition right now, it's called Color of Change, that is demanding justice for all of the officers that had anything to do with the George Floyd's murder. We can demand that the protesters, not the looters, but the protesters, be released from jail. There is a petition also that is called thischange.org petition. We can sign that as well. We can elect public officials that really encourage equal treatment for everyone, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, or any other category. And all in all, in conclusion, that we understand that I am my brother's keeper. And you are too. You are your brother's keeper. And so it is.
Thank you so much for that, Carol. Now it's time we will sing together our first closing song here. Precious Lord, take my hand. Going to unmute. There we go.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on this day. I am tired, I am weak, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. Take my way unreal, precious Lord, into thee, with my life in almost all. Give my hand, lead me at the at my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
In closing, We remember all of the names we have heard today. We remember the charge to our souls, our spirits, and to our hands that we receive from our beloved Carol. And we remember the song we just sang was the song that only one person could get through at the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's funeral, the great Mahalia Jackson. We hold up the generations of those who have been crying for years, for decades, for centuries, for freedom, yearning to breathe free. And we pray together that this is the time, that we together may come together in this land and learn better, to act better, and to be the keeper of all of our siblings. We will now sing one of the songs that is so favorite in this community, Hawaii Aloha. But in singing this song this afternoon, I invite us each to remember the privilege of breath that begins the very name of this land we walk upon, this land that feeds us, this land that wraps us in the embrace of its bounty. Remember that when we speak the sacred name of this place we love, the sacred breath is called forth from us, Hawaii. And let us give thanks for this as we sing this song together. Now, go not necessarily in peace, but in action. Practice not only love, but justice. Blessed be not only you yourselves, but your labors you lend to this work. And in that blessing, may we all receive aloha. Amen. May it ever be so. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, everyone who put this together. And most of all, thank you so much, Carol, for opening your heart to us and sharing what it is so many need to hear yet again. Go forth in peace and love. The service is ended. Blessed be.